during the morning, with -3, -4 Celsius possible, although through the morning those temperatures quickly rise because that's where the sunniest skies will be. And in fact, there'll be some decent sunny spells through eastern parts of the country on Wednesday. I think the cloud will thicken in the east of England by the afternoon with some showers here, but the bulk of the showers will be out towards western fringes of the country. However, wherever you are, it's going to be a colder day. Temperatures in some northern areas not extending into the double figures. Now, Thursday brings with it low pressure towards the northwest of Scotland, and that will send stronger breezes and some more persistent rain into the far northwest of Scotland, and more extensive showers elsewhere, although they will avoid the southeast. And then during Friday and into the weekend, it turns a little warmer once again, but we're never far from areas of showers.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okwir, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh no, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today?
What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family. They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return? The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see.
They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain. It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight, guilty, the Palestine Action activist who smashed a sledgehammer into a police officer's spine. Also, another synagogue is set on fire. Plus, get ready, everybody, for the 200,000th channel Migrant. Also tonight,
we do believe that there may be some human-to-human transmission that's happening among the really close contacts, the husband and wife, people who've shared cabins, etc.
well, more on the cruise from hell. Mystery is now surrounding the illness because more Brits have fallen ill today. Is it now human-to-human contact? What's going on? We'll give you the latest. And
fix the foundations.
Fixing the foundation.
To fix the foundations of our economy.
worries of economic Armageddon as gilt yields hit a 30-year high. On my panel tonight, we have got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, GB News contributor Will Kingston and political commentator Kai Wilshaw. And the Met Gala was even worse than you'd imagined. Fashion. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Justice finally caught up with Palestine Action. Next.
Good evening. Your headlines at 2 minutes past 9. The United States has insisted the Iran ceasefire is not over, despite the US and Iran launching attacks in the Strait of Hormuz. Earlier, President Donald Trump spoke from the Oval Office, saying Iran knows what not to do in terms of violating the ceasefire. He said the US has control of the strait and Iran has a choice to make.
We have a situation where we have total control, and it's like a piece of steel. Nobody's going to challenge the blockade. And I think it's working out very well. We're going to see. I can say this, Iran wants to make a deal.
Meanwhile, Iran insists that it controls the strait, but the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said Iran must come to the negotiating table.
I have a blockade because they shut down the straits. So I don't know which members of Congress you're talking to, but here's what I would ask them. I would ask everybody here. It's very simple. These guys have shut down the Straits of Hormuz. This is what Iran is saying. We will shut down the straits. No one can go through. No country in the world can go through unless we allow you to go through, and you have to pay us. But our ships can go through, meaning the Iranian ships, as much as they want. That's crazy. Who would agree to that? So how are we going to have a situation where they get to close the straits to everybody, and the only people who are allowed to go through there 100% without paying anything are the Iranians? If you do that, they'll keep the straits closed forever. They're trying to make this some new normal. Okay, under no circumstances can we ever allow them to normalize the fact that they get to blow up commercial ships.
Hate crime prosecutions are set to be fast-tracked due to a deeply troubling rise in anti-Semitic incidents. That's according to the Chief Prosecutor for England and Wales. It comes after Downing Street says Sir Keir Starmer is determined to make Jewish people feel safe again in Britain. It follows a series of attacks on Jewish communities, including the Golders Green terror incident and recent arson attacks. At a summit on anti-Semitism held in Number 10, the Prime Minister said this is not just a security issue, but a wider fight against hatred and extremism. A young mother who was killed when her ex-boyfriend forced his way into her house with an explosive device has been named as 35-year-old Joanne Shaw. Miss Shaw died on Sunday at her home in Bristol when 41-year-old Ryan Kelly detonated an explosive device. Mr. Kelly also died. Armed officers were called to a domestic-related incident in Sterncourt Road around 6:17 a.m. on Sunday, and there was an explosion at around 6:30 a.m. shortly before they arrived. They are treating Miss Shaw's death as a homicide. Britain, stuck on the cruise ship hit by a suspected hantavirus outbreak, will still have to wait on board for a number of days. More than 20 British passengers are trapped on board the MV Hondius, which has been stranded in the Cape Verde Islands since Sunday after the outbreak. It comes as Sir Keir Starmer said the government is putting plans in place for onward travel of Britons stuck on board the ship. 3 people have died and a British man who tested positive for the virus remains critically ill in hospital in Johannesburg. It's also been reported there may now be some human-to-human transmission among close contacts on the vessel. Half-term holidays are under threat as airlines have cancelled 13,000 flights scheduled to run this month. Carriers have axed almost 2 million seats from the busy May schedules, according to data compiled by the aviation analytics firm Curium. Airlines have also switched to smaller aircrafts in an effort to conserve increasingly scarce jet fuel. The revelation comes amid growing concerns about kerosene shortages in Europe and the UK, triggered by the Iran war. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Patrick.
Welcome along to Patrick Christys tonight, and some breaking news on the front of the Times tonight is that Zach Polansky, the leader of the Green Party, apparently falsely claimed to be a spokesman for the British Red Cross whilst crowdfunding his campaign to originally become the deputy leader of the Green Party. Well, the Times is also reporting that Zach Polansky, and I know this might be hard to believe, was not a full member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy whilst he was working as a hypnotherapist, despite making such a claim to potential clients. And that was at the time that he got into all the controversy about being able to hypnotise women into having bigger breasts. So remarkable, really, that the man that was doing that, it turns out, was apparently not a full member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy. He didn't have a licence. I mean, who could have seen that coming? Anyway, we will be hearing more from the Greens later on in the show and be putting out Zach Polansky's response to that. But some really interesting stuff coming out about him tonight. In other news today, several Palestine action fanatics were found guilty of criminal damage. It came after they did this. They used a decommissioned prison van to smash their way into the Elbit Systems plant near Bristol. When they were in there, they wanted to destroy as much as possible because they said that it was doing things like supplying arms to Israel. But they were confronted initially by security.
Arrest those guys.
Get the out right now!
I'm going back.
I'm not fast enough, mate.
I'm a little bit concussed.
Oh, okay, well then you can definitely go.
Yes, in case you're wondering, they were holding sledgehammers, and then the police turned up and they clashed with them. But the worst thing of all is that one of them, Samuel Corner, caved a female police officer's spine in with a sledgehammer. Can you imagine just how terrifying that must have been for that police officer? We've frozen it on the screen there, the moment where their hand comes out, that bloke's got the sledgehammer, hovering over her, and then brings it thundering down, smashing their spine. I mean, what kind of lunatic can do that to anyone, let alone a female police officer? Today, Corner was found guilty of inflicting grievous bodily harm by a majority of 11-1 on the jury. Remarkably, he was cleared of grievous bodily harm with intent. Now, many people will find that hard to believe, but nevertheless, his evidence was that he panicked and acted to protect a co-defendant who he thought was being hurt. OK. One thing that never ceases to amaze me, though, with all of these Palestine action lot, is that when they break in somewhere, they get violent towards people, they smash people up with sledgehammers, then they always start whinging and crying like little babies when the police arrest them.
Criminal damage and a fee, OK?
Can you please
no.
do it?
Get your arms to your back.
Oh, no, you don't have to do that. Legally, you don't have to do that.
Get your arms.
I've got...
Look,
ow,
you
paying me! You're paying me!
Right.
Can you just please?
Stop.
Ow!
Messing around.
That really hurt.
Yes, you're messing.
Ow!
It's so pathetic, isn't it? They are just such soft, pathetic, self-entitled little weaklings, aren't they? You know what they're going to do if they get sent to prison, don't you? Any guesses? They're going to go on hunger strike, aren't they? Then we're going to have a big song and dance about the hunger strike, and that's going to go on until, like, Wednesday, when they decide, oh, they've decided to break their hunger strike today. They're going to have a sandwich. In fact, they're going to go on hunger strike every other day. They're just going to, like, intermittently fast for a bit. They're going to basically do the Atkins diet whilst they're in prison and make a huge song and dance over it. I mean, it's amazing that the first time round, they were found not guilty, isn't it? Now, they were tried previously for aggravated burglary. They were cleared. Now, I'm not an expert, but how can anyone look at that footage, seriously, and find them not guilty? The jurors had to put up with this every day, and I bet they were probably afraid for their own safety. I mean, walking in and out of that every day, if you were a juror, I imagine might have swayed your decision. But anyway, here is the result. Charlotte Head, Samuel Corner, Leona Cameo and Fatima Rajwani are guilty of criminal damage. Corner, as I've already said, is also guilty of inflicting grievous bodily harm. Absolute morons, the lot of them. Let's get a look at what my panel think on this now. We have got GB News contributor Will Kingston, journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee and political commentator Kai Wilshaw. Right, well, Will, it's been a long time coming that we've wanted to report on this particular case. I mean, the sledgehammer bit into the police officer's spine is you know, absolutely, utterly horrific. But they think they're the good guys, don't they?
They do. That is the key question that we have to ask ourselves, Patrick, and that is, how does a former Oxford student, Oxford philosophy student, no less, reach a point where he thinks it is justifiable to take a sledgehammer and smash it into the spine of a female police officer? And the fact of the matter is that the left have created permission structures for violence. They have a series of tactics where it normalises violence, where it says it's OK to use violence, maybe just do it quietly. They have for years said that their opponents are Nazis or fascists. And of course, Nazis or fascists have it coming when it comes to the use of a sledgehammer. They have said that words are violence for years, which therefore makes it more acceptable to use violence in response to those words. They have done all sorts of things which says, you know what? Violence is OK in certain circumstances because, to your point, they think they're the good guys and therefore the ends justify the means. Now, Kai will try on both sides of this. He will try and say that this is a problem across the political spectrum. But the fact of the matter is that the left have made it acceptable to use violence in the way the right have not.
Well, go on, Kai, before we come to Linda, then you've been dragged into it earlier than expected. What would you say? I mean, the clips there, I think most people at home will find those clips shocking. They are chasing people around with sledgehammers.
Yeah, they are. And look, Will know, actually, when it comes down to it, I don't like these kind of protesters. I'm not a fan of Palestine Action. I think they're abhorrent, lots of the things that they end up doing. I don't think the ends justify the means. But I did something odd in preparation for this show tonight. I actually read the speeches that some of these kids, and they are kids, gave their closing speeches to the jury in the last few days. And actually, it's not that they've imagined the police are these violent thugs. It's not that at all, Will. They've been radicalised, and they also don't believe that any other route other than creating disorder and trying to damage property, which is their intention, they don't believe that anything else will achieve the aims that they set out to achieve. They talk about, in harrowing detail actually, their despair at the fact that they don't believe their government wants to act, cares about what they see as a genocide, what I think are certainly war crimes that are being committed in Gaza. And they see this unfolding day after day over many years, and they decide that leafleting and protesting and writing to their MP, none of it cuts the mustard, none of it is listened to.
So you've got to break a police officer's spine with a sledgehammer.
And so they resort to criminal damage, which is what they intended to do. I don't believe that they intended to be violent. It wasn't the plan, Will. for the police to turn up, for them to be
entering a building unannounced is still
for them
violence.
to be pava spray, essentially pepper spray.
Ignorance is no protection against the law. You know, the fact that they... I mean, eventually the charge was altered for the guy that put the sledgehammer into the policewoman's spine without intent.
Yeah.
The rights and wrongs of that we can debate, but the judge will make up their mind about the sentencing. But the fact of the matter is I think that it is almost impossible to defend these people because you can't just say, well, they tried their MP, they tried this, they tried that. And in the end, they just had to go out and create some criminal damage. Because let me just finish. They created £1 million worth of criminal damage. And then in the midst of all of this, because it's a very aggressive, violent situation, they put one of them put a sledgehammer twice, not once, twice into a policewoman's spine.
Because he thought one of his friends were being attacked and he was confused because he was pepper sprayed.
Defending them?
No. I haven't defended these people before.
But
can I just make the point? Can I just make the point to make the criminal damage?
You believe, seriously, Kai, you believe that this guy was disorientated because of the pepper spray and thought that one of his friends was being hurt, so that's why that excuses him for smashing a police officer's spine with a sledgehammer.
It doesn't excuse it.
Because none of that would have had to have happened if they weren't there in the first place.
I agree. It doesn't excuse it, but I think that's what happened. And as it relates to the criminal damage, let's not take this completely out of context. £1 million worth of damage. To what, Linda? To drones that drop grenades on kids and the surveillance drones that assist. That is what they believe, whether or not you believe it.
Yeah.
That is what they believe. That's what they set out to damage.
You can't just say, well, that is what they believe.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's OK, then.
Well, I'm just trying to explain to you why they did what they did.
Does
it not give you some understanding of why they believe?
Look, I've covered many hundreds of court cases.
Yeah.
I like covering court cases. And I like hearing both sides of the argument. And I understand the arguments here about how they thought no one was listening. But two rights don't make a wrong. You cannot behave the way they behave. That's causing damage and causing personal injury. And what do you think is going to happen to their careers going forward? They've now been found guilty of supporting a prescribed organisation. That will stick with them for the rest of their lives. They should have thought about this
first. They'll just go on the Gaza flotilla for a bit, won't they?
That's right, exactly.
Next step.
I just want to respond to this point that somehow their actions are understandable because they've attempted every democratic means possible. And now, therefore, they felt they had no other...
Because we'd all be doing that, wouldn't we?
I feel that way about, illegal migrants who sexually assault young girls.
Many people do.
I feel the same way about the low-growth environment in this country. I feel the same way about all number of different things, but I don't have this moral certainty that I say, you know what, therefore that means I need to bypass democratic processes and commit violence and destruction. That is the difference between sensible people and the types of loony lefties that do this.
I tell you what, you raised a valuable point, Kai, because...
Really?
No. I want to be reasonable about this. The fact of the matter is, and, I used to be terrified of this. My kids are a bit older now, so thankfully I think we're past that point. But I suspect these kids were radicalised. But that's not an excuse. No. They shouldn't be radicalised. That's a problem.
Look, I don't think what they did was right. Can I just make that very clear? But I'm just trying to understand what circumstances mean that a growing segment of people in this country, on the left and the right, for different causes and different reasons, are so... No, but I think there's a lot to learn from
I like your thing
because of the despair that is driving people to the extreme.
But would you say that... when people did what was despicable, where they burnt down migrant hotels...
Yeah.
Can you understand then, by your same logic?
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to say that many people, if you take the politics out of it and the left versus right, I think a lot of people will relate to the desperation that some people feel.
But it's just that when that happened,
a government that doesn't respond, and this will happen.
But when that happened, right, we had marches against the far right. We had the Prime Minister locking people up for social media. We had all of this.
These kids are branded as terrorists. What are they? Primary school workers, charity workers, artists.
No.
That is literally what they do.
They are branded as terrorists.
That's the point.
They are branded as terrorists because they broke the law because they are part of a proscribed organisation.
It wasn't prescribed at the time that they broke into this place. And also the prescription is a matter that all of us agree is of contention. Come on. This demonising. It was very difficult to find these.
Look, I think the other incident where they broke into a military installation is the reason why...
Well, it's a private company.
Still a military installation?
It's a $2 billion company.
It doesn't matter, Kai.
It sort of does.
No, it doesn't.
I think it does.
It doesn't. I've got 3 children. Believe me, if they went and slammed a sledgehammer into a police officer's spine, I'd be appalled.
It's totally wrong.
Can we all just take 1 minute, though?
Damage at a military installation. I would be appalled.
Can we
no
just...
matter how wealthy the company was.
Just take 1 minute to just again bask in the glory of this pathetic little crybaby whinging like a little girl after they'd been arrested. Here you go.
Criminal damage and a fee, OK?
Can you please
no.
do it?
Get your arms to your back.
No, you don't have to do that. Legally, you don't have to do that.
Get your arms.
I've got...
Look,
Ow, you're hitting me! You're hitting me!
Get on the floor!
Floor!
Right.
Can you just please?
Stop. Messing around.
That really hurt!
Yes, you're messing...
Oh, well, anyway, you love to see it. Right, OK, we've got loads more coming your way, but of course I need to tell you about the Great British Giveaway now, and it is a whopping sum of money. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. Imagine all the things you could do with that cash. Give the garden a glow up, max out on a new motor, or just make sure the coming year is your year. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny for a chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash. Text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, look, I should just say as well that a couple of the people that we mentioned earlier on have been found guilty of things, like we said, about criminal damage and one count of GBH, not terrorism offences, OK? I want to make that very, very clear. There's obviously an ongoing battle at the moment as to whether or not Palestine Action are indeed a terrorist organisation, so we just need to clear that up. But coming up, we've also got... Should just be booted out for their taste in music alone. But, I mean, we are on the brink of another grim migrant milestone. Roll up, roll up. Get ready to welcome the 200,000th illegal channel crosser, everybody. But first, though, shock new polling has revealed that that British Muslims are twice as likely to hold unfavourable views on Jews. So is the Muslim community doing enough to stamp out anti-Semitism? We're going to have a big debate on that.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Buckle up, Britain. It's going to be quite a ride. Votes are being cast and counts are gearing up in elections across the country. Everything could change. From the first result to the inevitable aftermath. We'll be across it all. Vote 2026, the people decide. From 11 p.m. Thursday night, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Does Chopper need a coffee?
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight, and I just want to remind you of that breaking news that emerged shortly before I came to air, and it's been reported by The Times this evening. Zach Polanski, the leader of the Green Party, apparently falsely claimed to be a spokesman for the British Red Cross whilst he was crowdfunding his campaign to become the deputy leader of the Green Party. The newspaper is also claiming this evening that Zach Polanski was not a full member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy whilst he was working as a hypnotherapist, despite making such a claim to potential clients. So despite, according to The Times, telling his clients that he was a member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy, he apparently was not. And, well, there's a lot to go out there, but we'll talk about it with a green voice a little bit later on in the show. First, though, does more need to be done from within the Muslim community itself to stamp out anti-Semitism? It's time for the head-to-head. Well, there's some new figures out, and they're pretty shocking. British Muslims are twice as likely to hold unfavourable views about British Jews compared to the rest of the country. That's according to shock new polling from JL Partners for Policy Exchange that has exposed the state of anti-Semitism in the UK. 21% of Muslims admitted to feeling unfavourably towards Jews, just Jews as a whole, compared to 11% of the population. The same report also found that 45% of Muslims believe that Jews hold too much power over the media and parliament. The report comes amid a wave of horrifying attacks on the Jewish community in Britain, with counter-terrorism police currently investigating after a suspected arson attack on a former synagogue in East London earlier today. This morning, the Prime Minister hosted an anti-Semitism summit in Downing Street, where he suggested that Iran may be behind the recent spike in attacks.
Security is essential, but that is not enough. We must also deal with the forces that drive this hatred in the first place. So we're confronting them directly. One of the lines of inquiry is whether a foreign state has been behind some of these incidents. We're investigating, of course, all the possibilities. And we're clear that these actions will have consequences if that proves to be the case.
So tonight I'm asking, does more need to be done within the Muslim community to stamp out anti-Semitism? Going head-to-head on this now are journalist Jonathan Sakadotti and political commentator Zain Al-Bayati. Thank you very, very much. Jonathan, I'll start with you. Is it time to call out the Muslim community and say you need to do more here?
It's time to start to call out anyone who is spreading hatred against Jews
and committing violence against Jews, especially from an ideological perspective or from a religious perspective. I mean, it's undoubtable that within Islam, there are some very negative views of Jews within pretty mainstream Islam. Of course, not all Muslims then act on that in a way that is violent or dangerous to Jewish people, but certainly many do. We've seen, broadcasts on British TV and online sermons from mosques within the UK with hateful preaching about Jews based on Quranic texts and with calls for death of Jews. And as far as I'm aware, no arrests have ever been made about those things. So obviously there is a problem that's not being tackled properly. I would say that that's a problem that the state should tackle. And it's also a problem that I would assume Islam should try to tackle within its own ranks.
OK, well, Zain, I'll bring you in on this here now. So, look, just according to these stats here, 21% of Muslims admitted to feeling unfavourably towards Jews. That's not Zionists, that's not any of the caveats there, it's just Jews as a whole, which is twice the rate of the normal population, of the rest of the population. What do you make of that?
I think the framing matters. Anti-Semitism is a real serious problem that must be confronted wherever it appears, including among some Muslims. But it's not just a Muslim problem, and it should never be a collective responsibility of British Muslims themselves. I mean, we have MPs such as Nigel Farage himself making anti-Semitic views allegedly, and there hasn't been any arrests when it comes to people like him. So as a law student studying law, there's a difference between calling out between calling out anti-Semitic slogan, conspiracy theories, or intimidations, which should be condemned immediately, and also using anti-Semitism as a political weapon to treat Muslims as a suspect community. Jewish safety matters, Muslim safety matters. The answer is consistent policing, education, and the condemnation of hate altogether, not just selective outrage.
I'll sit with you, Zain, on this before we go back to Jonathan, because when we see a huge increase in anti-Semitism, right, coming from, it seems to be within the Muslim community, wider society as well, but within the Muslim community, the threat of Islamist terrorism, right, which we all face, the threat of Islamist terrorism, and things like the grooming gang scandal that we've had, and time again we hear the same lines, which is that it's not on the Muslim community to collectively speak out really about this. Like, at what point would you just want to, do you think? Like, do you not think that maybe they should?
Well, grooming gangs are not just based on Muslims. There's also grooming gangs amongst the far right as well, who have also, it's just the Muslims that have been amplified in the media, and they're the ones who are getting most of the hate for it. We, as Muslims, condemn the anti-Semitic views, but it's just that it's not amplified in the media compared to the criticism that we face in comparison. So there's imams, there's also British Muslim organizations that all condemn the attacks on Jewish people, which has been seen in the recent attacks in Golders Green. There have been imams that have actually condemned these views. However, it's not amplified on the media. And the only thing that's amplified on the media is the hate and Muslims being the suspect towards all these anti-Semitic views, which raises suspicion towards the Muslim community as a whole. OK, Jonathan, there's lots to come back to you there.
I mean, the reason we're having this conversation is because of polling of certain British Muslims in high concentration Muslim population areas. That's what the poll was trying to find out, opinions of those people. And it showed very high percentage of people that dislike Jews, that have negative opinions of Jews. So it's not a political thing to talk about that. It's just a factual thing. That's our society. That's part of British society. I think to say that Nigel Farage has somehow been a hate preacher against Jews, and if he's not tried for it or arrested for it, British Muslims shouldn't be when imams in British mosques preach against Jews, I think it's preposterous. I haven't seen any evidence of Nigel Farage doing that. And if he did do it, I would call for his arrest as well. Similarly, I don't think this is about demonising British Muslims at all. It's reflecting in an opinion poll the opinions that they declared to pollsters. So I don't think anyone is demonising them. I think they have readily offered up these opinions of themselves. And this chap you've got here, who's apparently a law student, is the best that we've got from the Muslim community to try and comment on this. And even he won't say that that's a problem. I would have thought that if he's not somebody that has some of those negative views, and interestingly, the younger portion of the polling sample had worse views in this respect than the older one. So I don't know what his own personal views are about Jews, but if he's unable to condemn it, and this is the best we can get in the Muslim community, what hope is that?
Just finally, and I'll give you the final word on this then. A quarter of British Muslims polled here had a favourable view of Hamas, right? And they were more likely to have a favourable view of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, than an unfavourable one. I mean, do you think that maybe the Muslim community should do a bit more to call that out? Because like if there was a quarter of the quote unquote white British community that had a favourable view of a terrorist organisation, I would be urging them all to stop that.
Well, to start off, I would like to say that I am not in favour of any hate on any community whatsoever. To make that stance out, I even said this earlier on that Muslim hate, anti-Jewish hate, all of it I'm not for at all. But no matter the community, hate is not tolerated in my eyes, and also amongst the youth. And when you talk about the polling, that's certain Muslims. That doesn't mean that's not representation, representing the whole entire community as a whole. I mean, if you were to compare the grooming gangs of the far right, does that mean every single white person is part of the paedophilic now?
Sorry, Jonathan, you were asking for some evidence.
I've not heard of the far-right grooming gangs. Where are the far-right grooming gangs?
No, to clarify, I mean when it comes to far-right, when it comes to anti-Semitic hate,
you've referred to far-right grooming gangs twice as a way to excuse Muslim grooming gangs. I don't know where the far-right grooming gangs are.
No, I'm talking about the far right in terms of the anti-Semitic hate. They also
referred twice to far-right grooming gangs as a reason not to focus on Muslim grooming gangs. So where are the far-right grooming gangs?
I meant to say far-right hate and the Jewish communities, not the grooming gangs. I meant to say that.
You meant to say something completely different from what you did say.
When it comes to the polls, that doesn't represent all of Muslims. Just like how there's polls on, for example, as I said before, the far right on the when it comes to the far right with the hate on the Jewish communities, that's not amplified at all in the media. It's mainly targeted on Muslims.
All right, get around in circles here. All right, look, thank you very much. Quite revealing on multiple different fronts there. Thank you. It's journalist Jonathan Sakadoti and the political commentator Zain Al-Bayati. My head's spinning a bit after that one. Coming up, got a bit of this.
وپزان بغرور نکړې د مغرور خلکو پلاریم زتیر لخ بل ساریم دستا پشان خلکو تکلا سنا وایم ګلا مجمع چېړه پاګلا مجمع.
Right, we're on the brink of another grim milestone. Get ready for the 200,000th illegal migrant. But before that, a massive new breakthrough could see the chief suspect in the disappearance of Madeline McCann hauled before the Old Bailey very soon. However, I'm going to speak to someone who's interviewed him and thinks they might have the wrong man. Don't go anywhere.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're heading to northern Italy or southern France, then expect some thunderstorms over the next few days. But for most of the Mediterranean, it's set to stay fair and dry and mostly sunny. Although temperatures will be a little bit below par for the time of year, it should still feel pleasantly warm in the sunshine across Portugal and Spain. We do run into those heavy showers, though, for the Balkans and particularly northern parts of Italy. But further south, many parts of Greece and Turkey will be turning increasingly dry over the next few days, with some sunshine around as well. And temperatures around average, so feeling warm in the sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see cloud and some showers move southwestwards overnight, leaving clear spells in the north and east. And it's here where we'll see a return of overnight frosts. Gardeners beware. In between high pressure and low pressure at the moment, the UK is experiencing colder northerly winds behind this cold front, which is sending an area of cloud and some showers southwestwards. So overnight, I expect western Scotland, Northern Wales and some southern and western parts of England to see a lot of cloud and further showers at times. Elsewhere, it's drier and it's clearer and colder. Temperatures in main urban areas down to the low single figures. In some sheltered rural spots, especially across eastern Scotland, northeast England, several degrees below freezing as we begin Wednesday. So a chilly start, potential for a damaging frost, but plenty of sunny spells for the east of England, cloudier further west, across Wales and the southwest. Some showers once again. Northern Ireland likewise, some showery rain first thing. Those showers extending into western Scotland where it's frost-free, but the east of Scotland, that's where we'll see the lowest temperatures during the morning, with -3, -4 Celsius possible, although through the morning those temperatures quickly rise because that's where the sunniest skies will be. And in fact, there'll be some decent sunny spells through eastern parts of the country on Wednesday. I think the cloud will thicken in the east of England and by the afternoon with some showers here, but the bulk of the showers will be out towards western fringes of the country. However, wherever you are, it's going to be a colder day. Temperatures in some northern areas not extending into the double figures. Now, Thursday brings with it low pressure towards the northwest of Scotland, and that will send stronger breezes and some more persistent rain into the far northwest of Scotland, and more extensive showers elsewhere, although they will avoid the southeast. And then during Friday and into the weekend, it turns a little warmer once again, but we're never far from areas of showers.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Well, welcome back. So, in what could be the biggest breakthrough yet in the tragic story that has gripped Britain for more than 19 years, the Met Police are trying to bring Christian Bruckner to Britain to stand trial for the abduction and murder of Madeline McCann. Well, according to the Daily Telegraph, the Met would like to see Bruckner stand trial at the Old Bailey. They believe that they can gather enough evidence to get the charges brought against him. He was living a mile away from the Praia de Luz hotel where Maddie went missing in 2007. He was named as the prime suspect in her disappearance while serving a 7-year prison sentence for the rape of a pensioner in Germany. So, look, if the CPS did authorise charges, it could provoke a diplomatic and legal row. Currently, German constitution prevents the extradition of its citizens to a non-EU country. Look, I'm joined now by the investigative journalist Mark Williams-Thomas. And Mark, you've had an interaction, I believe, with Christian Bruckner, and my understanding is that you think he might have an alibi. Is that correct?
Yes, I was commissioned to make a programme for Paramount and for Channel 5 on the basis, and the premise of it was to basically go and show how Christian Bruckner was responsible for the abduction and murder of Madeline. And as I started to investigate it, I started to find evidence that challenged that position in its entirety. And I got to a position where I worked very closely with Christian Bruckner's lawyer. I ended up being in communication with Christian Bruckner, and I found an alibi for him for those days whilst he was there in relation to Madeline's disappearance. So I haven't got an alibi for the exact day, but I have got an alibi over those days. And I spoke to the very girl that he was with, and actually the contact that he had with them, he didn't change his behaviour in any way at all. Christian Bruckner is a nasty, violent sex offender. There's no doubt about that, and you can't paint it in any other way. But is there any evidence to say that he was responsible for the abduction and murder of Madeline McCann? No. And that's very clear from the position of the German authorities. The German prosecutor has been investigating Christian Bruckner for 8 years and hasn't found enough evidence even to interview him.
I mean, they made a bit of a mistake, didn't they, when they came out and said something along the lines of they are 100% sure he is responsible and that they have enough evidence to prove it. And it turned out that wasn't true. Or weirdly, they're just sitting on this evidence and not actually putting it out there.
No, they don't have the evidence. Hans Walters, who I've spoken to a number of times, him and I are now kind of slightly at loggerheads because, I keep saying, well, you're not in a position as the prosecutor to say that you are convinced he's done it. It's for you to put the evidence before the courts. But he's had this case now for 8 years and he hasn't got enough evidence to bring any charges against him. He's not got enough evidence to even interview him. It's quite interesting, the Metropolitan Police's position, because the Metropolitan Police, right at the very beginning, were very critical of the way the Germans have held this whole kind of media circus around Christian Bruckner's, as were the Portuguese. The Portuguese and the British police, both of them do not believe that Christian Bruckner is responsible. There is something playing behind the back of this, and what's playing behind the back of this is funding. So what we know every year is the Metropolitan Police, for Operation Grain, which is the Madeline McCann investigation, go through a funding round. Last year, we had some press that came out in April. Of course, May is the time of the anniversary. So I think this is very much geared up to the aspect. Bringing Christian Bruckner back to the UK for a trial would be unheard of. I just couldn't even see it happen, even if there was sufficient evidence to do that. You'd have to get a rogatoire, you'd have to bring him back straight before the court. He couldn't be interviewed, he'd have to be charged. And actually, because he's a German national, he couldn't even come back here anyway.
No, there is that. And look, it is worth noting, Mark, that you mentioned there that the Portuguese don't believe that he is responsible for the abduction and presumed murder of Madeline McCann. Who do they actually think is responsible?
Well, of course, we've got this whole issue that initially started with Gonzalo Amaral when he was convinced that, of course, the parents were responsible. That was then by the Portuguese authorities, said, no, that's not true. We don't believe that. The position of the Portuguese authorities is they don't know, quite simply. Neither do the British authorities know. And you've got Hans Walter, who's this German prosecutor, who's absolutely convinced that Christian Bruckner is responsible. He doesn't have the evidence to support that, because if he had have had the evidence, he'd have prosecuted him by now. And actually, I've showed through my Paramount programme that actually his evidence he has doesn't stand up to any scrutiny at all. So we've got a mess. And this becomes a bit of a circus every year. Around the anniversary, around the funding issues, we get some press that comes out about it. You'll see over the following days, this just disappears and gets washed under the carpet.
All right, well, look, Mark, thank you very, very much. It's Mark Williams-Thomas there. He's an investigative journalist. He's someone who's actually done the groundwork on this and potentially blown the whole thing apart when it comes to Christian Bruckner. Thank you. GB News contacted the Met Police, who said, as part of ongoing inquiries, we remain in close working discussion with policing colleagues in Germany and Portugal. We will continue to pursue any viable lines of inquiry. OK, well, coming up...
وپزان بغرور نکړې د مغرور خلکو پلاریم زتیر لخ بلساریم.
We are on the brink of another grim migrant milestone. The grimmest yet, really. Nearly 200,000 illegals have arrived on our shores. I'll tell you exactly how many we've deported, but before that, government borrowing costs surged to a 28-year high today as investors prepare for the chaos of a leadership challenge to the Prime Minister. So, is the Labour Party psychodrama making your bills go up? That's next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here at GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I have a feeling that an awful lot of people are going to be quite shocked, as I was, reading the first chapter, where you describe so vividly that moment you were playing when your arm, your body, basically gave up on you, and you say in the book where you suddenly realised you were unemployed. You could not play the cello anymore.
The thing is, it was just after 10 minutes of a concert started, a 2-hour concert, and I just suddenly lost the power in my bowing arm. So it was like a humiliating and frightening moment. just couldn't, the audience there, and, you know, I felt I couldn't hold the bow, and it's just so embarrassing and just horrible. And I'd never known anything like it. I didn't know what was wrong. I knew it was bad. You know your body. And, okay, I called my wife in the interval of the concert, and you know, I'd been working really hard, and she said, oh, you've probably been doing over practice. But I knew it was more than that. And the next day I had tests on my arm, and things weren't working, and there were no reactions to things. So I had an MRI scan on my neck, and they said there's a nerve that's trapped and is being pressed on by a herniated disc. So I could have had an operation. One surgeon out of 3 agreed to do it, but they said it was very, very risky, and it might not work. So it's not an attractive option.
But that's how you start the book.
Yes.
And I mean, hearing you talk about it now, I do wonder, is that a moment that continues to haunt you? As a musician,
I think I've blanked that out of my mind. That actually, I mean, now you mention it.
Sorry, but it's there in the book.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was just a horrible, horrible year.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. Now, the government borrowing costs have soared to a 28-year high as investors brace for the chaos of a leadership challenge to the Prime Minister. So the yield on 30-year gilts, which is effectively the interest the government pays on its debt, rose to 5.78% earlier today, a level not seen since 1998. It comes as investors in the city prepare for political instability in Britain, triggered by speculation that the PM is going to have to be toppled soon. You've got the likes of Wes Streeting and Angela Rayner all vying for his job, as well as the Manchester Mayor, Andy Burnham. But what I want to know is how bad is this going to all be for your bills? And we're joined now by the head of lifestyle economics at the Institute of Economic Affairs, Christopher Snowden. Chris, thank you very much. Look, just to explain to our viewers and listeners what a gilt yield is first, please.
Well, the government raises money, borrows money by issuing bonds, and the interest rate on those bonds really depends on what the bond market is prepared to pay. And so when the bond market doesn't have a lot of confidence in the country, or if it thinks that inflation is going to go up, or there's going to be some other disturbance that makes their borrowing risky in some sense, then they ask for a higher interest rate.
OK, right. So why is this a bad thing for all of us? For my viewers and listeners who are just going about their normal lives, paying their bills, why is this bad for them?
Well, we as a country have £3 trillion of debt. A lot of that was taken out 10, 15 years ago, but it's not being paid off, so it has to be rolled over. So we have to take out more debt in order to pay off the original debt. And as you can see from that graph, the interest rates are going up and up and up. It wasn't that long ago. We were paying very close to 0% on our debt, which is a pretty good deal, but it was never going to last. And so the greater the debt burden, in addition to higher interest rates, the worse things are, because it essentially means that we have to pay more tax.
OK, right. And what's the worst case scenario here? Can someone call this debt in?
Well, the very worst case scenario would be that the interest rates go up and up and up like they have in Argentina and Greece over the years. That's not going to happen. The interest rates are not going up here because people think that we're going to go bust as a country. They're going up for two reasons. One is the expectation that inflation is either going to go up or not go down as quickly as expected. That's happening all over the world, largely as a result of the increase in oil prices. The second is, as you say, Patrick, there is a lot of speculation that Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves might not be running the economy for much longer. And although the bond market haven't been particularly positive towards them, they, I think, would be even less positive towards someone like Andy Burnham or Angela Rayner, who have more or less said that, in particular the case of Burnham, have said, I'm not going to be captive to the bond markets, they can go whistle.
Right, and just very quickly, Chris, I mean, so they are, we think this is a reaction to the fear of Angela Rayner or Andy Burnham, as opposed to their desire to keep Keir Starmer, if that makes sense.
It is, I think, partly that we can't look inside the souls of the people in the bond market, of course. And as I say, there is an expectation of higher inflation, which is happening all over the world. What's important about what's going on at the moment with UK gilt prices is that there is a growing divide between what we're paying and what other countries are paying. We're paying now a lot more, even than a supposed basket case like Greece.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Christopher Snowden there, the head of lifestyle economics at the IEA. Right, coming up, we are on course for our 200,000th illegal channel migrant plus.
We do believe that there may be some human-to-human transmission that's happening among the really close contacts, the husband and wife, people who've shared cabins.
There's been a big development in the deadly virus that's ripped through a cruise ship, and you will not believe the latest about Zach Polanski.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see cloud and some showers move southwestwards overnight, leaving clear spells in the north and east, and it's here where we'll see a return of overnight frosts. Gardeners beware. In between high pressure and low pressure at the moment, the UK is experiencing colder northerly winds behind this cold front, which is sending an area of cloud and some showers southwestwards. So overnight, I expect Western Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and some southern and western parts of England to see a lot of cloud and further showers at times. Elsewhere, it's drier and it's clearer and colder. Temperatures in main urban areas down to the low single figures. In some sheltered rural spots, especially across eastern Scotland, northeast England, several degrees below freezing as we begin Wednesday. So a chilly start, potential for a damaging frost, but plenty of sunny spells for the east of England, cloudier further west across Wales and the southwest. Some showers once again. Northern Ireland likewise some showery rain first thing. Those showers extending into western Scotland where it's frost free, but the east of Scotland, that's where we'll see the lowest temperatures during the morning, with -3, -4 Celsius possible, although through the morning those temperatures quickly rise because that's where the sunniest skies will be. And in fact, there'll be some decent sunny spells through eastern parts of the country on Wednesday. I think the cloud will thicken in the east of England and by the afternoon with some showers here, but the bulk of the showers will be out towards western fringes of the country. However, wherever you are, it's going to be a colder day. Temperatures in some northern areas not extending into the double figures. Now, Thursday brings with it low pressure towards the northwest of Scotland, and that will send stronger breezes and some more persistent rain into the far northwest of Scotland, and more extensive showers elsewhere, although they will avoid the southeast. And then during Friday and into the weekend, it turns a little warmer once again, but we're never far from areas of showers.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's a totally tax-free £76,543.21 in cash to be won. Cash to spend on anything you like. That's like having over £6,000 extra to spend each month for a whole year. You could spend it on a bucket list holiday, treats for all of the family, or just save it for a rainy day. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight on the
unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me. It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight, guilty, the Palestine action activist who smashed a sledgehammer into a police officer's spine. Also, get ready for the 200,000th Channel Migrant. Also tonight,
we do believe that there may be some human-to-human transmission that's happening among the really close contacts, the husband and wife, people who've shared cabins, etc.
more Brits fall ill on the cruise from hell, but mystery currently surrounds the exact nature of their illness. And I'll have all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages tonight. Breaking on the front page of tomorrow's Times.
She says that she grew 4 inches. It didn't change her cup size. She stayed the same cup size, but she said it was a tighter fit.
Well, it's all going Pete Tong for Zach Polanski. Apparently, he falsely claimed to be a spokesman for the British Red Cross whilst crowdfunding his campaign for deputy leader of the Greens. The newspaper, this is The Times, also claims that Zach Polanski was not, in fact, a full member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy whilst he was working as a hypnotherapist and telling his clients that he was. So, lots beginning to unravel for Zach Polanski tonight. We'll get stuck right into that. Do we really know anything about him? Dave Poulton. On my panel this evening, we have got journalist Linda Jubilee. We've also got GB News contributor Will Kingston and political commentator Kai Welshaw. And I'm going to be playing you a longer version of this. This is just a snippet of some of the absolute madness at the Met Gala. Get ready, Britain, here we go. Get ready for the 200,000th illegal Channel migrant. Next.
Good evening. Your headlines at 2 minutes past 10. A cargo vessel has reportedly been struck in the Strait of Hormuz, according to the UK Maritime Trade Operations. It comes as the United States insisted the Iran ceasefire is not over, despite the US and Iran launching attacks in the key shipping route. Meanwhile, the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the offensive stage of the Iran war is over. Speaking a short while ago in the White House briefing room, he said the US is trying to reopen the strait as a favour to the world.
A blockade because they shut down the straits. So I don't know which members of Congress you're talking to, but here's what I would ask them. I would ask everybody here. It's very simple. These guys have shut down the Straits of Hormuz. This is what Iran is saying. We will shut down the straits. No one can go through. No country in the world can go through unless we allow you to go through, and you have to pay us. But our ships can go through, meaning the Iranian ships, as much as they want. That's crazy. Who would agree to that? So how are we going to have a situation where they get to close the straits to everybody, and the only people who are allowed to go through there 100% without paying anything are the Iranians? If you do that, they'll keep the straits closed forever. They're trying to make this some new normal. Okay, under no circumstances can we ever allow them to normalize the fact that they get to blow up commercial ships.
Earlier, President Donald Trump spoke from the Oval Office, saying Iran knows what not to do in terms of violating the ceasefire. Meanwhile, Iran's top negotiator told the US, well, we are just getting started. Hate crime prosecutions are set to be fast-tracked due to a deeply troubling rise in anti-Semitic incidents. That's according to the chief prosecutor for England and Wales. It comes after Downing Street said Sir Keir Starmer is determined to make Jewish people feel safe again in Britain. It follows a series of attacks on Jewish communities, including the Golders Green terror incident and recent arson attacks. At a summit on anti-Semitism held in Number 10, the Prime Minister said this is not just a security issue, but a wider fight against hatred and extremism. Britain, stuck on the cruise ship hit by a suspected hantavirus outbreak, will still have to wait on board for a number of days. More than 20 British passengers are trapped on board the MV Hondius, which has been stranded in the Cape Verde Islands since Sunday after the outbreak. 3 people have died, and a British man who tested positive for the virus remains critically ill in hospital in Johannesburg. It's also being reported now there may be some human-to-human transmission among close contacts on the vessel. Madeline McCann suspect Christian Bruckner cannot be extradited to Britain to face trial because of Brexit. That's what German officials have told the Telegraph newspaper. The Metropolitan Police are seeking for the Madeline McCann German suspect Bruckner to face a UK trial. It comes ahead of the 20th anniversary of Madeline's disappearance next year. Half-term holidays are under threat as airlines have cancelled 13,000 flights scheduled to run this month. Carriers have axed almost 2 million seats from busy May flight schedules. That's according to data compiled by the aviation analytics firm Curium. Airlines have also switched to smaller aircrafts in an effort to conserve increasingly scarce jet fuel. The revelations come amid growing concerns about kerosene shortages in Europe and the UK, triggered by the Iran war. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to Patrick.
Good evening. So Britain is on the brink of welcoming its 200,000th Channel Migrant. At the start of play today, we were just one boatload away from hitting that grim milestone. But it doesn't look like any boats have crossed today, so it seems like Wednesday, the 6th of May, will be the day that we hit 200k. How many have we deported, though? You ready? Just 7,612. Yep. This crisis has been going on for 8 years, so that's less than 1,000 deportations a year. It equates to roughly 3.8% of them who have been deported. So you'd take your chances, wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you come? And today we revealed that they are steaming into Europe as we speak and currently on their way to Britain. Yep, there you go. They are in through Turkey, onto European soil and on their way to Hotel Britannia. Just in case you wanted confirmation that most of them are here for the benefits and not because they are actually genuine asylum seekers, take a look at this. They are starting to pay people smugglers to get them back out of Britain in lorries because they're not happy with the accommodation we're giving them in HMOs. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up, could you? Absolutely hilarious. But of course, it's all about the human rights, isn't it? Oh, we're not safe in any other country. We can't possibly go anywhere else. Oh, what? You're putting me in a 7-bedroom house around the Bristol area? Oh, I've got to go. Sorry, I've got to go back. I mean, as we gear up to welcome our 200,000th illegal Channel migrant, it's worth putting the scale of this into some context. So this is the equivalent of a city the size of York or Portsmouth coming across the Channel illegally. We don't have a figure for the number who have made the journey in the back of lorries, so we don't know how many that is. But around 7.1 million people have come to Britain legally in the past 8 years. And that is roughly the equivalent of the entire West Midlands and Manchester. So what should we do to mark the occasion as the 200,000th illegal arrives? We've already literally rolled out the red carpet for some of them. That was at a hotel where 3 of the illegal migrants were staying when they raped a vulnerable woman on a Brighton beach. What else could we do to really welcome, really mark the occasion as we hit 200k? Maybe we could greet them on the beach with a celebratory brass band. They'd love that. They'd love it because we've even got the pride flag for them, which, of course, they've been researching so that they can tell our asylum lawyers here that they have to stay because they are, in fact, gay, even though they've got a wife and kids. But look, just come on in, lads. Your mobile phone, your human rights lawyer and your 4-star hotel room are just round the corner. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, GBNews contributor Will Kingston and political commentator Kai Wilshaw. Will, so, yes, I mean, the 200k mark, tomorrow we'll probably hit it. We are just one boatload away from 200k.
Yeah, and with this august milestone, you know, I can pull out all of my greatest hits, Patrick. I can say just follow the Australian model. I can say if you remove the incentives, then people will stop coming. I can say if you detain people, then therefore they will have less of an incentive to come. You know, Kai will do his shtick. Oh, well, it's a complicated problem and therefore we need to have multifaceted solutions. Shabana Mahmood's making progress. Yes. And again, you know, nothing really... You hit the nail on the head, nothing really changes as a result of that. I know I've got to try and come up with fresh content for you every week because I'm on your show. At the same time, I feel like we as a society are at an impasse. Everyone who is serious about this problem knows what is required to fix it. They know that if you do it properly, you can stop the incentives in the space of a month and therefore the boats will stop coming. Labor does not have a willingness to do it. And so I can tell you, I can guarantee you, this will keep happening for as long as Labor is in government. And that's tragic.
What is interesting, I find, Linda, is the deportation numbers. So of the 200,000 that have arrived, and we're about 50 off from that, so let's call it 200k, you've already arrived, only 7,600 have been deported.
It's a tiny number, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, whatever plan comes up, whether it's this government or the previous government, actually, we are not removing people in significant numbers. Now, I'm not talking about people who've got a legal right to remain here. I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong to discuss those people. But people who are on work visas, people who are allowed in the legal route, people who are illegal, something should be done to get increasingly large numbers. Even the Rwandan situation, which now Conservatives are saying, if only we could have done that, we would have succeeded. They would not have succeeded with that plan because you cannot ship people back to Rwanda on a jetliner and expect to remove people in significant numbers.
Yeah, they needed something bigger. They needed something
bigger.
But it's not even that. You can only do deportations at scale if you get out of the ECHR, the Human Rights Act and the Refugee Convention. Now, again, Kyle will say, well, Shabana Mahmood's looking at reforming those. It is a half-hearted measure. You're not going to fundamentally deport people unless you get out of those things.
We should hear from Kyle.
We should indeed. Yeah. Well, look, I don't want to fall into saying the same things that we say every week, and because Will's obviously already preempted me doing that. Look, I want to tackle this idea that this is just going to keep happening while Labour's in power, because I get that I am frustrated that this is a problem that doesn't go away, right? And it just seems like one of those, you know... then, in that circumstance, I agree. I can see why people want an easy solution, and Will says there's a silver bullet here. Why has nobody else thought of it? I still believe that this Labour government, number one, has a willingness and is committed. But I think they are just... Look, we've got very high on our own supply about getting things immediately in this country. OK. What has happened... Can I just make the point? What has happened in 2026 is that arrivals by small boat are down 42% at the same time last year. That is the result of months and months of work, not only just by Shabana Mahmood, but principally by Shabana Mahmood, increasingly closing the net on what are the drivers of this, so closing the net on welfare, making refugee status temporary, all these things that she's done. The Borders and Securities Bill only came into force in December 2025. This is a matter of timing. Now, did they waste time at the start of their government? Most likely, yes, under Yvette Cooper. Are they wasting time now? Do they lack the willingness? No. Okay. And that's starting to show in the numbers.
I just think, though, that if anyone was looking for, you know, the perfect excuse to start turning boats back, you could say, we've accepted 200,000 in 8 years. That's enough. No one could accuse us of being a horrible, racist little country. No one could say we're not doing enough. We have allowed it. We've tolerated it. We've got people in hotels in every town. We've got people in HMOs in every town. We've done it all, right? We've done it all. When we hit 200k, that's enough.
The radical left, you know, that form the Greens and parts of the Labor Party are never satisfied, though, Patrick. If you were to say, right, 200,000, we've done our bit for the third world, they go, well, that's not enough. That's not acceptable. And that is why you won't see substantial change because the Labor Party are terrified of the left wing of their party. That's why many of them within the party are trying to get rid of Shabana Mahmood because they think she's too radical.
That is exactly
And that is, again,
right.
another reason why you will never see substantial change under Labor.
If you believe anonymous briefers close to certain leadership contenders, and by the way, there's an article about anonymous briefers close to leadership contenders every single hour.
That happens all the time. But what you
can, nonsense.
But what you can say that Shabana Mahmood does show some determination to address this issue.
Yeah.
And because of that, she is unpopular in the Labour Party.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. But even Angela Rayner herself, in a leaked cabinet memo when she was Deputy Prime Minister, said that they need to tackle this issue and they need to get stricter. And it's perfectly compatible, as a left-winger, as a Labour Party member, to say it is not fair for ordinary Brits to work every day to try and get by while other people who have no right to be here, who cross on small boats, get a free ride, or what seems like a free ride. That is not a right-wing position. It's entirely consistent for a left-wing Labour Party to make that argument.
So therefore,
I think they will.
They have to rapidly address it, and they have to show the evidence it's working.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that this stats war that we seem to have every week, where I say, these numbers are good, and you say, these numbers are bad, it doesn't cut it. Nobody knows what to believe. I think the Labour Party, as well as actually doing the work, which I think they are, need to find a way of proving they're serious about it and backing it
Actually,
up.
did we not see a picture today of a French police officer slashing a boat with a knife? And I'd never seen that before. And it went down. The boat just because they're so badly made. You can start doing that. The French could start doing that, and that would make a difference.
Kai, the stats war is actually very simple. For me, a good number is 0, and you can get to 0. Let me put it this way to you.
Yeah.
Why would you cross via a dinghy and pay 1,500 quid for the privilege of doing so if you knew that you would be detained upon entry and deported back to a country of origin, or alternatively left in detention until you eventually accepted deportation? Why would you spend that money?
Well, number one, there are detention camps that are being expanded at the minute. They're also
you're not detained.
They're also trying to make agreements with third countries so that we can have them offshore processing.
That's not my hypothetical. Number one, you're not detained, and number two, they know they won't be deported because of the legal framework in this country. If you had detention and then deportation, you take away the...
Labour is detaining and deporting some of these migrants.
Yeah, but
that 7,000 stat, I know it's not a lot, but it's the majority of those happened under this Labour government.
That's not enough to be a deterrent, though.
No, I agree with that.
It's enough to make an argument with statistics, but it's not enough to be a deterrent.
No, I mean, the point that I will make, and that I do believe, is that all of these measures, plus now the new bill in force, plus the measures that have come into force in March, the harsher measures, all of that, plus repelling people in the Channel through the new deal with France and others, that should begin to make a difference.
All right. Well, look, there's a couple of big things that I really want to let you know about before we go to the break. There has been a developing story on the front of tomorrow's Times newspaper about Zach Polanski, a man who's always faced questions about authenticity. He's changed his name, to Zach Polanski from, I think it was Dave Polden, wasn't it? So, so there's that. He's changed his political party, he's changed his allegiances, and now, according to the Times, they are saying that he's in a little bit of hot water, actually, because he was apparently claiming to be a British Red Cross spokesman, when the British Red Cross has said he wasn't at all. And there's also something involving his hypnotherapy, because we all know that Zach Polanski, he was caught out, wasn't he, trying to enlarge certain bits of certain people's anatomy. And it turns out that he might not have been telling the entire truth about who he was affiliated to whilst he was doing that. So really is one to watch, that story. But before we get stuck into that, it's time for the Great British Giveaway now. And it's £76,533. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
We're counting down to a spectacular summer. It's your chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in totally tax-free cash. A lump sum that you could have in time to splash out with this summer. Imagine all the things you could do with that cash. Give the garden a glow up, max out on a new motor, or just make sure the coming year is your year. And because it's tax-free, you get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win £76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages and breaking on the front of the Times. Yes, Zach Polanski apparently falsely claimed to be a spokesman for the British Red Cross. There's also a claim that he was not actually a full member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy, whilst working as a hypnotherapist, claiming that he could help make women's boobs bigger. Which is, I mean, I tell you what, who could have seen that coming? Who could have seen that coming? You know? We've got more on that shortly, though. Immediately, this deadly rat virus has been ripping through a cruise ship. This meant that dozens of Brits are stranded on this cruise ship. It's off the coast of Cape Verde. Sadly, more Brits have now fallen ill. But there are big question marks over exactly what it is that's making them ill and why they're not being given any help. I'll reveal all in just a sec.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain,
with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
the late edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christys tonight, late edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, late edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Buckle up, Britain. It's going to be quite a ride. Votes are being cast and counts are gearing up in elections across the country. Everything could change. From the first result to the inevitable aftermath. We'll be across it all. Vote 2026, the people decide. From 11 p.m. Thursday night, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Does Chopper need a coffee? Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
It needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss the Zach Polanski story that we've got for you next. It's all over the front page of the Times. But first, a second Brit has fallen seriously ill with a deadly rat virus that's tearing through a cruise ship stranded off the coast of Cape Verde. But whilst I was in that advert break, and we keep those pictures on the screen there, the breaking news is this. The cruise ship with the hantavirus outbreak is apparently now going to set sail to the Canary Islands, where supposedly the people on board will be allowed to get off. They are expected to arrive within 3 to 4 days. Sadly now, 3 passengers have died. 3 passengers have died on this ship. According to the tour operator Oceanwide Expeditions, the British crew member and another Dutch national are continuing to show acute respiratory symptoms, and they are expected to be evacuated by helicopter in the next few hours. I mean, look, it doesn't get any worse than this, does it, to be honest with you? It's the cruise from hell. So far, 3 people have died. There's another British man who's critically ill in hospital in Johannesburg, and it has a fatality rate, this virus, hantavirus, of apparently up to 50%. Typically spreads through contact with rodents, urine and faeces. But worryingly, the World Health Organization has today confirmed that they think human-to-human transmission may have actually taken place on this ship.
We do believe that there may be some human-to-human transmission that's happening among the really close contacts, the husband and wife, people who've shared cabins, etc.
Gosh, well, look, I'm joined now by GB News Science and Health Editor Lucy Johnson for the very latest on this. Lucy, thank you very much. Just from a health perspective, then, the update of this from the World Health Organization is they think that this was human-to-human. Is this because they don't actually believe that there are rats on the ship that have been making people ill?
Well, in fact, it's because they've identified that 2 of the passengers had travelled to Argentina, where there is a particular strain of this hantavirus, which has been shown in the medical literature to pass from human to human. It's really uncertain how this happened, but they know that they believe that it's possible when people are in close contact. So, for example, a husband and wife, and of course on a ship, people are indoors a lot. They are in very close contact a lot of the time. So they're not ruling that out. However, they say that it's still very possible that they've done a lot of excursions. They could have picked it up on one of those. Yeah. There's also, they can't rule out that there wasn't rat faeces or urine on that ship. And although the owners of the ship have said there were no rats, and we've had an exclusive tonight from one of the passengers who has confirmed that the ship is very clean and, biosecure. He says that they've actually introduced now COVID-style measures to try and keep everyone safe. So they're going to masking, putting people, encouraging them to stay in their cabins. They're allowed out onto the deck for fresh air, but they're not allowed into the communal areas. So they are taking it very seriously. Right. But if this is spread from human to human, it's understandable why people are getting very, very afraid.
Well, also, maybe why Cape Verde was reluctant to let anyone who is seriously ill on board that ship enter Cape Verde if they're worried that there's going to be some kind of health outbreak. So that breaking line is that there is, apparently there's a man on that boat now suffering acute respiratory illness, is presumably not really getting significant medical attention for that because it's not a hospital, and now they're going to be 3 or 4 days away from the Canary Islands. But is that right?
Well, as we understand it, they are getting ready to get them, both of those people who have got symptoms, one of whom is British, off that ship within hours, and to get them to medical care with air ambulances. I think one's already taken off, and a passenger who's closely connected with them. Cape Verde could have screened them, quarantined them, but it is possibly the fact that they don't have very good medical facilities. That was a hint earlier today from the World Health Authority organization, which said, well, Cape Verde was unable to do this. And now the Spanish authorities authorities in the Canary Islands have said that they have a duty and they have agreed to allow those passengers off and to allow them to disembark. However, they're going to have to wait several days. So they've got to wait for these people to come off the ship.
Absolute nightmare.
Yeah, absolute nightmare. It's horrific. What was meant to be a trip of a lifetime has turned into a medical nightmare.
Well, I mean, I do think this because we had it with there was that cruise ship off the coast of Japan when COVID broke out, and they ended up spending goodness knows how long there in awful conditions. You've got this. You've had all sorts of different experiences where people have got norovirus on cruise ships, etc. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't do it for me, the idea of getting on a cruise ship, but clearly people are absolutely obsessed with it, and, you know, each to their own. But it's exactly stuff like this that makes me think I do not want to be on a floating health prison somewhere off the coast of Cape Verde when it all goes south. But look, hopefully the people that are on board now get the medical conditions, the medical help that they deserve and that they need, and they get airlifted off, and that the rest of them arrive unscathed to the Canary Islands in 3 or 4 days' time. But Lucy, thank you so much. Lucy Johnson there, who is GB News' science and health editor. So a couple of the developments, of course, they do believe it is human-to-human transmission, a specific strain of this hantavirus. Coming up, all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. And the big breaking news that we're going to talk about very shortly is Zach Polanski apparently falsely claimed to be a spokesman for the British Red Cross whilst he was campaigning to be deputy leader. They also claimed that he was not a full member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy whilst claiming that he was. This is the man who's changed his name, changed his political party. I mean, can you believe a single word this guy says? That's next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're heading to northern Italy or southern France, then expect some thunderstorms over the next few days. But for most of the Mediterranean, it's set to stay fair and dry and mostly sunny. Although temperatures will be a little bit below par for the time of year, it should still feel pleasantly warm in the sunshine across Portugal and Spain. We do run into those heavy showers, though, for the Balkans and particularly northern parts of Italy. But further south, many parts of Greece and Turkey will be turning increasingly dry over the next few days, with some sunshine around as well. And temperatures around average, so feeling warm in the sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see cloud and some showers move southwestwards overnight, leaving clear spells in the north and east. And it's here where we'll see a return of overnight frosts. Gardeners beware. In between high pressure and low pressure at the moment, the UK is experiencing colder northerly winds behind this cold front, which is sending an area of cloud and some showers southwestwards. So overnight, I expect Western Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and some southern and western parts of England to see a lot of cloud and further showers at times. Elsewhere, it's drier and it's clearer and colder. Temperatures in main urban areas down to the low single figures. In some sheltered rural spots, especially across eastern Scotland, northeast England, several degrees below freezing as we begin Wednesday. So a chilly start, potential for a damaging frost, but plenty of sunny spells for the east of England, cloudier further west across Wales and the southwest. Some showers once again. Northern Ireland likewise some showery rain first thing. Those showers extending into western Scotland where it's frost free, but the east of Scotland, that's where we'll see the lowest temperatures during the morning, with -3, -4 Celsius possible, although through the morning those temperatures quickly rise because that's where the sunniest skies will be. And in fact, there'll be some decent sunny spells through eastern parts of the country on Wednesday. I think the cloud will thicken in the east of England and by the afternoon with some showers here, but the bulk of the showers will be out towards western fringes of the country. However, wherever you are, it's going to be a colder day. Temperatures in some northern areas not extending into the double figures. Now, Thursday brings with it low pressure towards the northwest of Scotland, and that will send stronger breezes and some more persistent rain into the far northwest of Scotland and more extensive showers elsewhere, although they will avoid the southeast. And then during Friday and into the weekend, it turns a little warmer once again, but we're never far from areas of showers.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight. Let me give you the first look at tomorrow's newspaper front pages, and we're going to get stuck into the Zach Polanski story, which is going to be leading the news agenda tomorrow, no doubt. The iPaper, millions face flight cancellations as jet fuel shortage deepens and Iran ceasefire falters. The Metro, a target on the backs of UK-Iran critics. Well, yeah, absolutely. If you do come out and you criticise Iran, the IRGC will try to slot you on the streets of Britain, unfortunately. The Guardian, Labour under pressure after UK borrowing costs. We covered this earlier today. Borrowing costs are at a 28-year high now. The Daily Telegraph, Starmer could cost us the election, says the Welsh leader, so a bit of infighting there. They've also got this. Report racist toddlers to the police, nurseries told. So Welsh nurseries have been advised to report children for racist incidents in hate crime guidance. So seriously, your 2-year-old might find themselves reported to the police for, quotes, unquote, saying something racist. Ridiculous. The Daily Mail, 30 Green Party candidates probed over anti-Semitism. But what we're going to be discussing, of course, is the breaking news that's on the front page of The Times tonight, which is actually that Zach Polanski apparently falsely claimed to be a spokesman for the British Red Cross while crowdfunding his campaign for the deputy leader of the Green Party. The newspaper also claims that Polanski was not a full member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy, whilst he was working as a hypnotherapist and whilst he was apparently telling potential clients that he was. I'm joined now by socialist commentator Samuel Sweet. Samuel, thank you very much for joining us tonight. So is Zach Polanski a bit of a Walter Mitty character then? He's changed his name, real name Dave Poulden. He's trained as an actor. Turns out that whilst he was hypnotising women to get bigger boobs, he wasn't actually a full member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy. Claimed to be a spokesman for the Red Cross. The Red Cross say they've got no record of that. Who is this guy?
Well, no, thank you for having me, Patrick. Yeah, well, what we're seeing now, I mean, and what I imagine going to see in the next couple of days as well, is just an intensification of seemingly more and more preposterous attacks on Zach Polanski. Obviously, in terms of the Red Cross story, I mean, Zach himself has actually posted on that tonight. I don't know if you've seen, but has offered a rebuttal to that he was actually in a position to be a spokesperson for various fundraising events that he organised. In terms of the other things you've mentioned there, I mean, changing political party, I mean, that's just commonplace these days. Parties move here and there.
Changing your name?
Well, I can't speak to that one, but
it's just a lot, isn't it? It's a lot of change. It's a lot of who is this guy? I mean, he's also previously claimed to have worked as a teacher, a counsellor, and a trainer in schools, universities, mental health services, prisons, including at the Ministry of Justice. I mean, is there even any record of any of that?
Well, I don't know, but I think this is bad faith attacks coming from political opponents and people with specific agendas in the media. Frankly, we've heard more in the last couple of days about Zach Polanski record in hypnotherapy than we have, say, people like Nigel Farage accepting donations from crypto billionaires that weren't declared properly. There's been more scrutiny applied to people like Zach Polanski than there has been for, say, MPs who have actually, like, again, Michigan Reform MP, former Reform MP James McMurdoch, who was done for assault. You know, there has been more scrutiny put on Zach Palahniuk.
I don't know about that, though. I will say that because that seems to come up all the time. Right, I mean, every single time that particular bloke you're mentioning there tweets anything, I mean, Labour cabinet ministers are all over him with saying exactly what you've said there. So I don't know how true it is that Zach Palahniuk gets a rougher ride than people. I mean, I think it is quite a big deal if someone who ultimately wants to be Prime Minister of this country potentially lies when they are looking to be elected as the deputy leader by saying, I'll read you the quote, "As a spokesperson for the British Red Cross, I care deeply about ending racialised policing and have been calling for an end to the phony war on drugs." And they went to the Red Cross, and the Red Cross said Zach Palahniuk was not a spokesperson for us. He might have hosted a couple of events and been near the Red Cross, but that's not the same thing. I mean, also, if you are telling clients that you are actually a full member of the National Council of Hypnotherapy, and then it turns out you are not a full member, it cuts to the core of what many people would regard as someone being a bit of a weird charlatan.
Well, I don't know. I mean, but in terms of Zach Palahniuk getting a rougher ride, I think we've seen this before, and it was very much reminiscent of the time that Jeremy Corbyn received in the media when he was leader of the Labour Party. And honestly, what that does is that speaks to the fear that exists within the political establishment, that people might actually challenge the status quo. You mentioned just there Labour have been on the attack against Palahniuk and the Greens. The Liberal Democrats have done the same, and Reform are doing the same. And I think, honestly, the reason for that is because the Green Party are soaring in the polls. There's no denial. They're expected to become could be very much on track to be the biggest party or take full control of many London councils this week. You know, they won the Gorton and Denton by-election convincingly. They hold they have very few MPs, but if you look at the diversity of the seats that they hold, they are a mix of rural and city seats. You know, they have proven, I think, that they can win everywhere, and I think they've struck a chord of fear within essentially the uni party.
But is that one of the reasons why maybe they've been able to get away with it, right? One of the reasons why they've been able to simultaneously straddle the LGBT, especially the T side of that, and also what many people would regard as being really quite Islamist aspects of the party, is because you've got a Walter Mitty in charge who tells different people different things depending on what day of the week it is, and no one knows who he is, what he stands for, or what his history is. I mean, half the people don't even know what his real name is.
Well, I think that's not really, for me, a line that has any level of coherence. I mean, Zach Palahniuk himself is a gay man, is a Jewish man, and has the deputy leader, Mohsin Ali, of his party, who is a Muslim. And they are working very well together, and I think they're able to unite a lot of different communities. And I think, honestly, that's what the establishment...
Are they uniting them, though? Like, during that Gorton-Denton by-election, for example, I don't think any of their Urdu leaflets also called for an increase in gay rights, did it? So they're not actually. They're just appealing to different things separately and hoping that no one finds out about the other bit.
Yeah, but there's no coherence in that as an argument. People will either vote for the Greens, or they would, because they'll either support the Greens in terms of polling and in terms of going out to vote, or they won't, and they are. And
because the other aspect is that they deal very well. They are absolutely benefited massively by the ridiculous purdah laws that we have in this country. So, for example, when they're going around Gorton and Denton doing things in Urdu and trying to sweep up as many votes as possible down the local mosque, people like myself and other media outlets can't go around and start highlighting that issue and showing them that actually they are complete hypocrites when it comes to the LGBT stuff, because we've got to wait for the election to be done, haven't we? So that's how they get away with it.
I think that's quite a sweeping generalisation of Muslims. There are many gay Muslims, LGBT Muslims, and members of the Green Party as well, who fit into those categories, and also wider society. I think that's a dangerous generalisation. I just don't think the Greens are playing that game anymore, and I think that's why we will see them do very well this week.
OK, all right, Samuel, thank you very, very much, mate. Always a pleasure to see you. Good luck. Samuel Sweet there, socialist commentator. Right, look, I would expect the interesting stories about Zach Palahniuk to probably keep on coming. We have got a statement from Mr Palahniuk, who posted this on X. I've always admired the work of the British Red Cross, from their work to support refugees to their work supporting people in Gaza and the conflict zones around the world. OK, she didn't say he was a spokesperson for them, though, did he? But the Green Party spokesperson said instead of apologising, the same paper that published an incredibly offensive anti-Semitic cartoon of Zach Palahniuk is devoting column inches to bottom-of-the-barrel stories. Again, no one's saying that he was actually a spokesperson for the Red Cross there, are they? But anyway, in another story that's also on the front of tomorrow's Daily Telegraph, Welsh nurseries have been advised to report children for racist incidents. Yeah, Linda's pulling her face on this. The taxpayer-funded guidance for childminders aims to make nurseries and playgroups anti-racist environments. Linda, what do you make of this?
Why would you report children who are below the age of criminal responsibility?
Below the age of 3.
Below the age of 3, and well below the age of criminal responsibility, to the police. I mean, as if... Can I just say, this is so ludicrous, because the police are understaffed, they're pressurised, they do too much work that they're not supposed to be doing, and not enough of the work that we really care about, which is burglaries and apprehending shoplifters or thieves, you can call them. And now they are supposed to be looking after toddlers who have mentioned racist remarks in kindergartens.
Can I...
Ridiculous.
Can I suggest... I mean, we don't know much about this story, do we, apart from the headline, but can I guess what's gone on here? That if a toddler, a kid, 2-year-old, 3-year-old kid, knows how to use racist language and something's going on at home...
Yeah.
And that's why it's suggested
that racist language will be something like stop
and so that maybe social services can go and investigate. But aren't you worried if a 3-year-old kid would say something racist, openly racist?
I don't think I'd report them to the police.
What would you do then?
I'd
do nothing.
Get the parents in for a conversation, of course.
You know the stuff that they're going to be end up reporting for? It's not actual... I'll be amazed if it was actual racist words. It's going to be things like stop the boats. My daddy says stop the boats.
At the same time,
Oh,
DPP tells staff, here, under the front page, fast-track hate crime cases based on the awful anti-Semitism that we've been seeing in the last few months.
If there was a choice between reporting a 2-year-old to the police or asking the parents of the 2-year-old into the kindergarten, what would you do?
No, it's about asking the police to go and investigate. It's not reporting them for the crime, is it? It's guidance also, guys.
Which way would you approach this? But by the parents or by the police?
If a toddler is using anti-Semitic slurs in a nursery, you'd not be concerned.
I don't think
you'd not think it's a matter...
I don't think they even know how to speak, really, by that age.
Exactly, isn't that worrying?
It's a matter for the parents.
Isn't that worrying?
Yeah, don't you think you'd ask the parents?
Yes, and what do you think the police are going to do? But Kai... Go to the parents, figure out what's going on in the house.
Don't you think that the school should go to the parents first?
What, the potentially racist parents?
Well, you don't know
who are teaching
that.
I know.
What happens if they pick up the iPad? What happens if they watch television? They aren't necessarily picking it up off the parents.
So they're on Twitter.
The very first thing you should do is get the parents in. It's the very first thing.
Well, there we go. Well, look, we've got more of tomorrow's newspaper front pages coming your way. The breaking news on the front of The Sun. Come cry with me. 13,000 flights axed for May, sadly. Holidays in chaos over that jet fuel crisis. Are you affected? I'll reveal all next. As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in...
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
Because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christys tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I think it's true to say that probably more books have been written about Queen Elizabeth II than any other royal, probably more books than any other woman. And I think Hugo Vickers' latest book, 600 pages, which give us a very personal insight into her life. What is there left for Anna Key to tell us, do you think?
Well, I know it's true, but she's going to have the key to the archives. She's going to be able to go through personal letters and thousands of documents that none of us have been able to see. I mean, I know our esteemed colleague Robert Hardman, as well as Hugo, have had some access. And you would think, actually, I thought Robert's was the most authoritative biography there could be, but he didn't have complete access in the way that Anna will. I mean, I don't really envy her the job. I don't know if you do, but it's going to take years, isn't it?
It is. I mean, do we know, did the Queen keep a diary, rather like Queen Victoria did? But most of her papers were destroyed, weren't they? So, I mean, is there going to be a very personal record from the Queen herself that she'll have access to?
I suspect that she will remain in death almost as much of an enigma as she did in life. I understand she did keep a diary, I think pretty religiously, I think most days. But the word is that it was pretty anodyne. It was, you know, I met so-and-so, I did this, not her personal feelings about, I know, meeting President Trump or whatever. So I don't know if we're going to get any great insights, but there will be personal stuff and there will be fascination. I mean, she was just there, wasn't she, for all of us through all of our lives. And if there are any secrets, then we will want to know about them. And I'm sure Anarchy will find them.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight. Let me get you the remaining front pages for tomorrow. The Sun, come cry with me. 13,000 flights axed for May. This could well affect you. I hope it doesn't, but it could. The Daily Mirror, we're still only ones on your side. Starmer, we've boosted workers' rights. It's the PM's election message, which the Mirror has obviously dutifully put forward. The Daily Express, unremovable. Britain's broken asylum system laid bare as figures reveal that only 495 small boat arrivals from Afghanistan, Eritrea, Iran and Iraq have been deported since 2018. I mean, that is an astonishing figure, isn't it? Just 495 people from those countries have been deported since 2018. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't... I mean, that's it. I mean, how... yeah, if you're from those countries, you can stay. Look, just to mix it up a little bit... the Sun's front page, this come cry with me, this jet fuel thing. You know, families face holiday heartache. 13,000 flights this month were cancelled due to the Iran war. It's going to get very bad for people, bless them, you know, got the holidays booked and everything.
Yeah, look, part of me thinks this is unfortunate. Part of me is reminded of those whingy middle-class Remainer types who are a bit annoyed after Brexit that they had to wait a bit longer in line before they got to their holiday in Spain or wherever. Look, it's unfortunate. I still think that this conflict will potentially have an outcome which is good for the Middle East. And if that is the case, then temporary pain on the holiday
I don't think
flights
anything will be good for the Middle East. The best you can hope for the Middle East is contained instability. End of. What you need to do here now, what we need to do as a country, is secure our own energy supplies, ultimately.
I agree with that.
Because this will just go on and on and on.
Can I just talk... Will, that is classic, right? You spend months cheerleading Donald Trump's Iran war, right, and then wave this off as some middle-class nonsense, right? Be under no illusion. These 13,000 flights will be people's summer holidays, people's holidays, cheap holidays, right? Fairly cheap holidays out to Europe. That's who's going to be affected. And this looks bad, right? It's going to get so much worse. Food inflation up 7% this year. The Bank of England's going to raise rates probably once, twice, 3 times. Who's going to be hit? The lowest earning. And you sit here as your cheerleader waving away these concerns because it won't affect you. It'll affect the poorest people in this society.
I mean, the Sun has chosen a subject which resonates with
the
its
working
readers.
class.
Exactly right. And it's concentrated on this. But Kai is right. There are much, much more serious repercussions with this conflict, which we will all feel by the autumn.
Well, go on, come back to that then.
The fact of the matter is, and I will continue to say this, the Iranian regime had to be dealt with. If not now, they would have had to have been dealt with next year or the year after. Now, you can make arguments. Can you not interrupt? You can make arguments the way that this war has been conducted. I certainly have problems with it, but it needed to be fought. And that is the reality. Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Because most of the world disagrees, most of Britain disagrees.
No, I think most people agree that Iran should not have a weapon of nuclear capability.
Yeah, that's...
I think we are all agreed on that.
We can agree on that.
OK. I need to do this. I forgot to do this, and I'm hoping that we've still got time for it. We do. Great. Get in. So, the Met Gala, dubbed the Oscars of Fashion, has returned with its most outlandish looks yet. It's a load of celebrities who look completely idiotic. Fashion is art. Turn the red carpet into a living gallery, featuring everything from stylish to some seriously head-scratching outfits. So this is Katy Perry, apparently. Is currently in a relationship with former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. British singer-songwriter Sam Smith was seen wearing a custom £52 black wing-sleeve gown. Ugh.
Yeah, they looks great in that.
Gosh. German-American supermodel and television host Heidi Klum appeared as a living statue. Reality TV star Kim Kardashian wore a moulded fiberglass breastplate. The Queen of Pop, Madonna, supposedly appearing as a dark enchantress, isn't it? Antiguan-American model and activist who made history as the first black, transgender and physically disabled model, quadriplegic with cerebral palsy, signed to a major modelling agency, turned up the DEI final boss. Right, OK, we've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages when we come back. Thanks to my wonderful panel.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see cloud and some showers move southwestwards overnight, leaving clear spells in the north and east, and it's here where we'll see a return of overnight frosts. Gardeners beware. In between high pressure and low pressure at the moment, the UK is experiencing colder northerly winds behind this cold front, which is sending an area of cloud and some showers southwestwards. So overnight, I expect Western Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and some southern and western parts of England to see a lot of cloud and further showers at times. Elsewhere, it's drier and it's clearer and colder. Temperatures in main urban areas down to the low single figures. In some sheltered rural spots, especially across eastern Scotland, northeast England, several degrees below freezing as we begin Wednesday. So a chilly start, potential for a damaging frost, but plenty of sunny spells for the east of England, cloudier further west across Wales.